Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we talk about sword reproductions, or better, a sword reproduction. In this case, what I'm holding in my hand is a Spanish Modelo 1857 navy sword, or better, a reproduction of it. Now, this is not an object I would normally buy for myself. But I happened to come by it as part of a larger lot of swords I bought at an auction. So here it is, and I figured, well, why not talk about it? And I think the main value about looking at this in a little more detail is that it may help beginner collectors especially, or people who are just approaching swords, to quickly understand what some factors to look out for are when you're trying to understand if a sword is original or a reproduction. And in all of this, I'm not trying to judge in the sense that it's completely legit if you are interested in reproductions as well. Like, that's not personally my field of collecting. But I still think being able to recognize them is super important so you can make informed decisions. If you hang out in any sword-related community, so be that Discord, Facebook, Reddit, or whatever, you probably know that questions about legitimacy of swords or just basic information about swords are a daily occurrence, if not multiple times a day. And luckily enough, the sword community is a really friendly community, so whatever the level of your question, you'll normally be met with a polite and actually usually very comprehensive and informed answer. But I still think that while that is an amazing resource, the ability to be able to spot certain details for ourselves is vastly outweighs in terms of value for us as collectors any kind of informed answer we may get from someone else. So our ability to judge things is at the core of our being good collectors, I suppose. So just a quick look at the sword. As many naval swords, this has a gilt or kind of gold-ish plated shell guard. It has some naval themes here. It has a very typical folding side here on the inside of the shell guard. It has a lion's head pommel and what normally should be a bone grip. A straight blade, and it's a rather nice sword to hold. So enough talking, let's look at it close up and see what makes this a replica. Okay, so don't take this as an absolute guide to spotting reproductions. I'll just show you a few elements in this sword that are giveaways and may help you in your search for your own specific swords. So one thing is, usually when something that is supposed to be antique is too shiny and beautiful, that is already kind of a giveaway. This is not to say that amazingly preserved antiques don't exist and that every antique should look like a piece of rust, but especially if you're looking at lower price range kind of swords, it should raise some alarm bells if you can see your reflection this way. Like, it's a bit of something to look out for. Another thing, looking specifically at the scabbard for me, is the suspension ring. So you'll see that in this case, whereas most scabbards I've seen have a closed ring, this is almost like a keychain ring. So it's obviously cheaper to produce, right? So you can buy a bunch of these and just thread them on without having to do any work on it. So now I don't know if any military swords actually had this sort of ring. It's possible, but I've never seen any, so this for me is a giveaway. Moving on to the sword, we'll take a look at the blade first. So I would say one of the first things to look at is the etchings. If they're too crisp and perfect, well, that's probably not a good sign. But then we also want to see the quality of the etchings themselves. Some antiques will have really, really refined etchings that go into the most minute of details, whereas, especially here on these waves, I feel it just feels a little bit more sloppy. Not to say they're ugly, like they look quite nice when you look at them, but they just feel like not a quality work, I would say. Another giveaway is obviously if your blade is made of stainless steel. So this can be hard to tell compared to a nickel-plated blade, for example, or a plated blade. But usually extremely shiny blades like this might be stainless steel, and in that case, it's most likely reproduction. And not only that, if you do have stainless steel blades, absolutely do not use them. Don't swing them around and do not hit anything with them, because it's a very brittle form of steel and it will break, possibly injuring you or others. Another giveaway is, and this is a dead giveaway, I would say, as far as I'm concerned, is that there is a maker's mark here. It says Fábrica de Toledo, Spain. The problem is that why would a Spanish sword maker who's making swords for the Spanish army use the word Spain rather than España? So always make sure you're looking, you reference maker's marks. There can be a lot of variety and differences, so you won't always find an exact match. But always make sure that the maker's marks you're looking at have some kind of logic to them, and or a direct reference in some kind of book or website. This sword, by the way, has a name on it, so it might have been a gift or it might have been a souvenir. It's not a bad produced sword, like it's not a piece of junk, so this could have even been like a gift to someone, I assume. So I don't know what's up with that. Moving on to the hilt, and here's where I think we can see more detailed information. So for starters, it's the quality of the decorations. So if you look at this, what looks like a 4-leaf clover here, it just is not very good. If you have any experience with antique swords or 19th century swords, you'll realize that even though they're mass-produced and they're not always perfect, there is something to be said in terms of the quality of the details. And this can probably be seen even on the shell guard. But I think what the big giveaway is the seams in the, so for example, if you look at the lion, at the pommel head, you'll see a seam line running through it, and here as well, like a cast. And this would not, you would not normally see this, at least as far as my experience goes with antique swords. Not to say it never happens, I don't know. I'm not the world expert in hilt seams, but I've never seen it, so I don't know. And you can see the same for the grip. This should be bone, but you can see it's actually plastic, and there's this casting seam there. So, and when I was talking about the details in the decoration, something is off about this lion's mane. So I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but if you compare this with a picture of an original, you'll know. And the same goes for this dramatically cut off lion's face. This is not unseen. There are a lot of different variations to these lion head pommels, but this just looks more sloppy than you would see in any original navy sword. So that's it. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful for you, if this is information that was new to you, and if not, I hope at least it was entertaining. While this is, yeah, as I mentioned, not a weapon I would normally collect, it's still quite pleasant to hold. And yeah, so if it's something you like, you can make an informed purchase now. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.